Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome everybody. My name is Dominique O'Rourke and I'm the Member of Parliament for the extraordinary riding of Guelph. We're meeting today on Treaty 3 lands, the traditional lands of the Attawandaronk and the Haudenosaunee, and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Guelph is adjacent to the Haldimand Tract and part of a long-established traditional hunting ground for the Six Nations of the Grand River and is home to many Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people today. The City of Guelph's land acknowledgement has a line that I really like, and it says, if our actions today can move us towards reconciliation, we should take pause and make those decisions with intention and gratitude. And I find that applies to most every day. We're also meeting in this extraordinary facility, the Frank Hasenfratz Centre for Excellence in Manufacturing, a testament to Linamar's leadership, and the name says it all, excellence in advanced manufacturing. Founded and headquartered in Guelph, not only is Linamar one of Guelph's largest employers with numerous manufacturing and research facilities, almost more than 24, it's the beating heart of a manufacturing ecosystem in Ontario and across Canada, and a global leader with 87 facilities in 19 countries. Thank you so much, Jim Jarrell, CEO and President of Linamar Corporation, and to your team for your leadership every day and for hosting us today. Nous apprécions vivement votre accueil aujourd'hui et votre leadership continuel dans ce magnifique espace dédié à l'excellence dans le secteur manufacturier. Today we're taking part in an announcement that is foundational to our government's plan to build a more resilient and competitive economy in Guelph, across southwestern Ontario, and indeed right across Canada. Our world is changing rapidly. I think it's the topic of every conversation that I have. And we are facing significant workforce challenges that affect key economic sectors. As a member of the Industry Committee, Chair of the Government Auto Caucus, Chair of the Southwestern Ontario Caucus, and MP for Guelph, I see firsthand how global tariffs, supply chain disruptions, labour shortages, and broader economic shifts are changing the way industries operate and remain competitive. That's why the Government of Canada is taking deliberate steps to build a stronger, more resilient and more sustainable future for Canada. Face à l'évolution rapide de l'économie mondiale, le Canada doit relever d'importants défis liés à la main-d'œuvre, notamment les pénuries de travailleurs, les perturbations des chaînes d'approvisionnement et les répercussions des tarifs douaniers. C'est pourquoi le gouvernement du Canada prend des mesures concrètes pour renforcer la résilience de notre économie, soutenir nos industries et préparer une prospérité durable pour les Canadiens et les Canadiennes. We're working to help employers attract a skilled and diverse workforce while also ensuring workers have the skills required to succeed in high-demand sectors. You've already heard about major projects, critical minerals, defense, home building, all of these historic investments in apprenticeships, and today's announcement is yet another step in ensuring Canada has the workforce we need to meet those ambitious goals. In Guelph, advanced manufacturing is driving innovation, strengthening supply chains, and supporting thousands in high-quality jobs. Companies like Linamar are leaders in Canadian productivity, as they testified before the Industry Committee this year, and they support the ecosystem of suppliers, machine shops, tool and die, and transportation that form the backbone of the manufacturing sector. Supporting advanced manufacturing is essential to ensure that businesses and workers, and in fact communities, thrive, and that's why we're here today. I could not be prouder to welcome to Guelph and to introduce a colleague whose previous cabinet portfolios include health, status of women, employment, workforce development and labour, and Indigenous services. She now serves Canada as the Minister of Jobs and Families and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario, two related portfolios focused on thriving families, communities, workers, and industries. Please join me in welcoming, accueillons très chaleureusement, l'Honorable Patty Hajdu.
Well, thank you very much, Dominique, and it's been such a pleasure to get to know your Member of Parliament over the last year. I will tell you that when Dominique speaks of the manufacturing sector, in particular Guelph's footprint, The room grows silent. She's clearly well respected by the Prime Minister and by many of her colleagues, and I couldn't be prouder to serve with another strong, vocal woman in caucus. That's how we get things done, is we speak up, and she speaks up on your behalf on a regular basis. So thank you very much, Dominique, for your leadership and for your representation of this beautiful part of the country. I'm Patty Hajdu. I'm the Member of Parliament for Thunder Bay Superior North. I have this really long speech that often will reference much of what Dominique has spoken about, the changing nature of the time that we find ourselves in, the uncertainty that workers are facing, the challenges that companies are facing as tariff after tariff and change in our trading relationship, primarily with the United States, puts many industries at great risk. And it's really a scary time for so many people, families all around the country, wondering who's going to pay the bills if their job is lost. How are they going to make sure their kids get through school? How are they going to make sure that they pay their mortgage or even just put food on the table? And those are real fears. And as the Minister of Labour, I can tell you that workers and employers are intertwined. In fact, we need each other. Employers need the workers that provide the labor, that support the growth of their company, and they need skilled workers, workers that know how to do and how to adapt to an ever-changing environment, changes in products, changes in customers, changes in processes, changes in technology. And workers need companies. They need companies to thrive. They need companies that are strong, that are competitive, that have new customers, that have an opportunity to grow, that can survive the kinds of headwinds that we're seeing. And so more than ever, we need each other in this country if we want to hold on to what we cherish, which is our sovereignty as a country. And so the work that we're doing together is actually critical in nature. And so I'm here today to talk about how we're going to do that work together in a better way. Because indeed, we rely on each other. And I would say profoundly as the Labour Minister, it's something I like to remind both unions and employers that you need each other, that in fact workers need companies and companies need workers. And that's what today's announcement's about. I will also say that I've been really pleased to serve under this Prime Minister. I've been a Cabinet Minister for 11 years now, as you can hear through my biography. But I've been very pleased to serve under Mark Carney as our new Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister has seized a moment and seized a determination of Canadians. And I am so proud of Canadians. Everywhere I go, Canadians are working hard to support their communities, working hard to choose Canadian products, working hard to figure out if what they're buying is actually Canadian made or Canadian owned. And no matter where I go, people have this determination to stand up for their country. And importantly, to me, what that means is to stand up for each other. And the Prime Minister knows that that determination is within our people's heart, but he also knows that we have to work with urgency. So we were laughing this morning, Jean-Pierre and I, about the urgency, about how, a year ago when we were talking about these sector alliances and bringing companies and workers closer together in terms of skills trades, that I was so impatient. And in fact, the folks that are working so hard to bring this to life said this is one of the fastest processes they've ever seen. But that sort of speaks to the urgency that we're all feeling, that this work has to happen now. It has to happen yesterday. And so I'm very excited to be here today to talk about how we're going to support the advanced manufacturing sector in Canada. You know, it's a major, I'm speaking to probably a lot of people from this industry, but I will just remind everybody in the audience that this is a major contributor to Canada's growth. In 2024, for example, the manufacturing sector contributed $208 billion to Canada's GDP. It employs 1.85 million workers. So a really big footprint and deeply important to the economy and the success of Canada. Thank you very much also to Jim for the tour through the back end, I guess, of this building, and to the workers there that spent a few moments with me showing me what they do. Everything from engineers to draftspeople to skilled tradespeople, machinists, all working in ways that I think a lot of young people could not even imagine happens in a building like this. And this brings me to sort of the crux of the challenge. What I've been hearing now, as you can note from my biography, I've been the Minister of Employment twice now. What I've noted in both times is that what I hear from industry is that workers are coming to their doors not necessarily with the skills of the present way of doing things. And what I hear from workers is they train often in colleges, polytechnics, other settings, and they don't develop the skills that actually employers really need. And so there's this gap, and the gap means lost time, it means lost opportunity, and it means a real lack of outcome for the worker in particular, but also for the employer, who cannot in many cases grow and is limited in terms of its capacity to grow because of one of the biggest limiters that I think we have, which is the availability of skilled labor in our country. And so it's very exciting to announce today the launch of the Advanced Manufacturing Sector Alliance. And so this is a wonky thing that I think media is not picking up on, but I actually think is a critical ingredient to really closing that gap of what actually is happening in our educational institutions and our polytechnics and our colleges and our training institutions, and what actually employers need. It's a way that we can actually bring together the voices of industry, the voices of trainers, and potentially the voices of provinces and territories to really do a better job of really streamlining what we're going to actually provide to workers and potential workers in terms of the skills they need to succeed. It's going to be a big boon for the manufacturing sector as well. Listen, the folks I saw and I talked to are millwrights, they're trained technicians, but they're also young people who chose a trade and transitioned into digital technology, into programming, into AI-related fields, and this is the future of work. There's an integration that's happening, and it's not, we can seize this moment actually to make it less scary for workers, more profitable for companies, and really help with the mission of a sovereign and strong Canada where people have an opportunity to grow companies and to grow communities and family. So today, the launch of the Advanced Manufacturer Workforce Alliance is the second alliance that's been launched. There are 6 of them. There's transportation, construction, childcare, and a number of others. And the idea is that each of these very important sectors in Canada will be modeled in a similar way, where we'll have an opportunity for a much deeper integration between what's happening in training and what the actual real live need of employers is, and hopefully close some of those labor gaps that have been plaguing us in terms of the growth agenda over a number of years. This alliance will be supported by Next Generation Manufacture Canada, and it will be supported by Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium and the Canadian Skills Training and Employment Coalition. And I'm really excited to work with everyone. We had a wonderful meeting just a few months ago on the East Coast, and just to hear their vision and their passion, and more importantly, I think their deep knowledge of the sector and their deep knowledge of what needs to happen next is going to be, I think, a real asset. Finally, I would just say that this is part of a larger plan to make sure that we have the skilled workforce of the future. You'll all note that we announced in the spring economic update $6 billion towards supporting skilled trades workers in this country. As I started off saying, I'm the mother of a crane operator, a Red Seal crane operator, and I call that the mom plan. Having watched my son, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud in front of the media, but having watched my son struggle from the decision point to enter the trades to actually getting his Red Seal, and seeing all those potential cliffs where a young person or anyone who chose a career path in the skilled trades could potentially fall off that path. In fact, most do. I realized we needed to do a better job, not just attracting people to the trades, which the plan includes $2 billion to help provide people with paid work experience in the trades so they can understand what life in the trades looks like. There's a lot of stereotype about what a tradesperson does. They should visit Linamar and see what tradespeople do here in this organization, for example, but all across the country in multiple trades. There's a real misunderstanding by people what trades do, the complexity of the trades, but also the opportunity of a life in the trades to build things that you're proud of, to earn a great living, to have some of that financial security that people are looking for. There's also another about $2 billion to support people while they're in their apprenticeship stage. So top-ups to EI during training periods where people people often really struggle financially as they step away from work to get block training, top-ups for layoffs, and particularly the construction industry or other industries where you may be laid off for a period of time, and now what do you do? And you may be leaving the trade to go and work in another company that for lower pay, but maybe more certainty. We can't afford to lose people who are already in the pipeline. And finally, supports for employers that will help with those first-year apprentices landing a job so they can start to accumulate the hours they need to complete their certification. We know there are great employers like Linamar and many others here that take that training responsibility really seriously. There are a lot of other employers that are really frightened to actually take on a new person, worried that their investment is going to evaporate as somebody poaches that talent. And so we want to bring some level playing field to the industry so that we can make sure that even small companies that maybe don't have the capacity to invest in the same way as larger companies have that certainty that they can take on an apprentice. What we also know is that oftentimes relationships are built, just like the young man, I think his name was Jeremy, who I was talking to, who started with this company at 15 years old and is still here 30 plus years later. That's the power of apprenticeship opportunities. That's the power of paid work experiences at the front end. And so this will complement the sector alliances and the work that they're going to do on really tightening up the training, really tightening up the fit between what industry needs and what training can produce, and really making sure that every worker and every potential worker in Canada knows that there's a place for them in this prosperity and growth agenda. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, Canada can only be strong if people feel like they can reach their full potential, if they can participate to their communities. And how they do that is by making sure that they have the skills to stay current, to participate in the economy, and to have that safety in their heart that they too will be able to take care of their families. And so it all fits together, folks, is what I'm saying. And it's a really exciting announcement. I'm so grateful for the leadership of the folks that have put this alliance together and worked so hard and so quickly to get this off the ground. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Minister. Bonjour toutes et tous. Madame la Ministre, cette annonce aujourd'hui, c'est très important pour toutes les industries manufacturières partout au Canada. My name's Jay Myers. I'm the CEO of Next Generation Manufacturing Canada. I can't tell you how pleased we are, how excited we are to be working with Excellence Manufacturing Consortium, with the Canadian Skills Training and Employment Coalition, to be leading this exciting initiative. And thank you very, very much for your leadership in putting together an experiment, I think, and doing it very quickly as well. That urgency, I think, underlies a lot of our strategizing. It underlies a lot of the reason why we have such a great crowd here today. Everyone with a stake in the future of Canada's advanced manufacturing workforce. So thank you very much. Thank you all for coming today. Jim, thank you for hosting us here today. I couldn't find a better example of a leader in advanced manufacturing than Linamar. And of course, MP O'Rourke. What a great place to be able to showcase the best in advanced manufacturing than Guelph. Also helps that I just live down the road, so we're really pleased to be here. But we talk a lot about advanced manufacturing, but what do we really mean by this? Maybe simply put, it's the use of advanced technology and the use of leading edge techniques, technology, manufacturing know-how, business process, production processes, engineering processes, supply chain resilience. We speak about all of that a lot. But at the heart of it, it's all about people. Manufacturing companies are just organizations of people who are working, have the capabilities, the skills, the entrepreneurship, the capability, to be able to do all that stuff. And today, given all the uncertainties in the marketplace, given the new opportunities that we have both domestically and abroad, being able to capitalize on those capabilities to build the advanced manufacturing workforce that Canada needs is really crucial to our economic well-being and the future of the Canadian economy. So the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Alliance really aims to build those capabilities, the competencies that we need in order to make sure the Canadian manufacturers and workers in advanced manufacturing in Canada can succeed in their business and in their careers, their long-term careers. We're going to address a number of challenges over the next 3 years. And so let me mention a couple of them now, because I think they're very important and they align to the objectives that the minister set out today. First of all, we have to make sure that all employees are equipped, well equipped, to be able to work with and to manage the technologies like AI and robotics that are rapidly changing the business of manufacturing in Canada. We need also to make sure that we have the training programs, the academic programs that serve the needs of advanced manufacturing, that can rapidly adjust to the changing requirements of the sector, and that are able to attract young people, to attract underrepresented groups into long-term careers in advanced manufacturing. Our Workforce Alliance is focused on action and on outcomes. And we're not going to be able to achieve that, our objectives, without the collaboration with everyone here in this room and other stakeholders across Canada. So I hope everybody will be keeping a watch on your cell phone for messages coming through, because we're going to be in touch with you to engage you as we move forward. I'm especially looking forward to working with our partners in leading this alliance, both EMC and CSTEC. So let me introduce you now to Jean-Pierre Giroux, JP, who is the director of Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium. JP.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jim, to open your doors. It's my second time here. I was with my safety group last spring doing a meeting and exchanging practices, and I really believe this is the perfect place to launch the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Alliance, as Linamar is a perfect example of advanced manufacturing, where it brings technology, innovation, and most importantly, people. And on top of it, I think that leadership, and we briefly talk about Linamar's plan to get into defense and what that could mean for the ecosystem of Ontario, but also in Canada. But that's an important leadership position, because let's remember, 98% of the sector is comprised of small and medium-sized companies. So leadership from Linamar and others is so important. Je veux aussi remercier Madame la ministre Hajdu, on en a parlé, et le gouvernement du Canada, d'avoir agi si rapidement. Okay? Donc le sens, un véritable sens d'urgence, et aussi de nous réunir ici. And Jay, you mentioned talking about partnership. That's going to be the beginning of multiple partnership for the next 3 years. And in addition, Minister, I want to make a point here to recognize you and your government and MP Dominique for the much-needed new defense, industrial, and buy Canadian policy. This, no doubt, will create all kinds of spin-offs and will boost our manufacturing capacity coast to coast. So we talk about urgency across EMC network. Manufacturers, all size, all subsectors, are telling us they want a skill strategy, a skill and talent strategy. So in order to do this, We need better market intelligence. So what this means is we need to know where workers are. We need to know where the shortages are and what skills manufacturers need. The intelligence that we're going to be gathering, and it's going to be ongoing, it's going to be on evergreen, that will help us to better align training. And Minister, you talked about training. That will also help us to align education. There's educators in the room, as well as immigration. We know there's issue around immigration, especially here in the GTA, where companies are losing workers, and because workers has to go back to their country, and workforce development. That is the real need of industry and Canada's priorities. You touch on the big projects that we're pursuing. We also talk about technical skills. It is absolutely important. Jay, you talk about digital skills as well as AI, robotics, which is a big game changer. Manufacturers, especially SMEs, also need management and leadership skills and development. We need leaders as well as entrepreneurs. So this is a call for entrepreneur with everything that's happening that could adopt technology, manage change, improve productivity, and help company diversify new market. This is a big week, of course, for Canada, and I'm hearing coast to coast the need to pivot into new market, not necessarily new companies, but also diversify your market. And this is why the alliance matters. At EMC, we see our role as a problem solver, and we see it as well as a partnership developer. We bring a consortium representing 18,000 manufacturers across Canada, 30 years of trusted relationship with the industry. Everything started 2 hours from here by Georgian Bay with 18 members. And we also have validated services and program, and we're hoping to bring to the Alliance. Alongside my partners and Jen and Sistec, I'm very excited to develop new partnership because this will grow. That's clearly our intention. We have an opportunity to connect manufacturers, government, training organization, and other partners to around practical, I have to say it, industry-led solution. For manufacturers, and there's a few that are joining us here today, a number of them, and some will be on the Strategic Council, an EMC company as well. That means concrete outcomes. What that means is access to skilled talent, and I have to say from shop floor workers to all the way up to the executive suite. Ultimately, we will help build the people and the leadership capability that will bring more productivity, innovation, because there's tons over there in the background, and competitiveness to our sector. So we're very proud at EMC to be part of this alliance, and we're ready to get to work as we're starting. I'm very pleased now to invite my colleague and partner, Ken Delaney from Sistec, to join me here.
Well, thanks, thanks, JP, and thanks to the Minister for the tremendous leadership in launching this. But I also want to thank the Minister's staff in Linamar. This is a beautiful setup, the flag, the banner. Have you done public announcements before? It seems to me like you know what you're doing. Anyway, on behalf of Sistec, I just want to say that we're incredibly proud to have been asked to work with EMC and NGen to launch this. I think that I've loved working with them so far, and what each organization brings is unique and quite complementary. So I'm kind of excited, and Minister, we're determined to make you proud and determined to make you happy that you asked us to take this on. You've heard the Minister and Jay and JP talk about various aspects of what this alliance is going to do. I want to talk a little bit about disruptions in the workforce and how we can use dislocated workers as an important source of the new skills that we need moving forward. Everybody's aware of the challenges that the manufacturing sector faces right now. They can be quite daunting. We've got unreliable trade agreements. We've got intense international competition. 50 years ago, China's economy made up around 2% of the world GDP. Now it's 18 to 20% of the world's GDP. So the world is changing. In addition to that, we've got big demographic challenges. We've got an aging workforce and an aging society in Canada. And then the technological change, which is going to, does anybody think that the rate of technological change is going to slow down? Of course not. As we transition from a carbon-intensive economy to one more dependent on metals and batteries, and then of course there's AI, the rate of disruptive technology is only going to increase. So in this kind of environment, it's difficult with all this uncertainty. It's uncertain access to markets, what's going on. It's difficult to know how to spend your capital. It's also difficult for workers to know what sectors to look for work in and whether or not to look for a new job. And so I'm hopeful that through this alliance we'll be able to really tackle some of those problems. So like I say, there's no reason to believe that these trends are going to change. And I'll let Marty Warren, our next speaker, tell you a little bit more about what it's like from the perspective of a worker to face this. But it's a tall order. We need to take advantage of these new technologies, and we have to take care of our workforce. And what I love about Canadians generally is that we seem to be able to rise to the challenge. And despite the challenges that I've mentioned, I mean, so far the manufacturing sector has been, despite that incredible uncertainty, it's been pretty resilient. I'm pretty sure I saw recently that total manufacturing sales are up for 5 months in a row now. So we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. And the workforce also is doing its part. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing up in Sault Ste. Marie. We've been helping Algoma Steel transition from an integrated steelmaker where you literally burn coal to literally melt iron ore to an electric arc furnace. And there's a lot of skills that are needed that have to be upgraded. So we've been in a process of helping them train over 1,000 workers to transition from what were production jobs in the old facility, and we're launching them. We're getting them at beginner welders, beginner machinists, beginner heavy equipment operators, and beginner millwrights. And I think it's just a demonstration of what the stakeholders can do. And in Sault Ste. Marie, and I guess to some extent I want to use that as a microcosm of what we hope to get done here. We worked with Algoma. We worked with other employers in the region. We worked closely with the Steelworkers Union. We worked with the city of Sault Ste. Marie. We worked with Sault College and other private trainers. And collectively, we were able to come up with what I think is a pretty good program. And so I think the biggest power of all of this Workforce Alliance is the commitment of all of its stakeholders to work together and try and solve these problems. I'm going to turn it over to my friend Marty Warren. Marty Warren is the National Director for the Steelworkers Union. The Steelworkers Union represents, it's got to be a couple 100,000 manufacturing workers across North America, even if you sector out everybody else. So I'll please give your attention to Marty Warren.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I want to start off by saying, as the Canadian National Director of the Steelworkers Union, I'm very excited and pleased to serve as the Labour co-chair to this great new organization, the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Alliance. Just a real honor, and I take it a lot of responsibility in filling those shoes. I want to thank the Minister Hajdu for moving this along and all your work for making this happen as we continue to push forward. I want to thank Bea Brusk, who's here, the President of the Canadian Labour Congress, for your attending this most important thing. Bea's my boss, somewhat. Anyways, Bea, thank you for being part of this. As already mentioned, I want to thank CSTEC and NGen and EMC for their hard work, because if you think of before we got to today, the developing of budgets, the operating plans, and most importantly, the project. Whole lot of moving parts before we get to kind of meet here today. My union, the Steelworkers Union, has been a big believer in employers, in government, working together with unions and labor force to solve workplace problems, short-term and long-term. Along with, I think as Ken mentioned, along with Stelco, Algoma, DeFasco, and other steel companies, we created CEASTEC many years ago, some 40 years ago. That was the first kind of sectorial council that had been created. Together with the steel companies, we found ways to retrain laid-off workers and find them new jobs. We worked together on international trade issues and getting access to the U.S. market back in the day under free trade or under no tariff. A little different today. We worked together to increase the amount of training done in the steel sector and to increase productivity in the processes. We worked together to give many workers new skills done in the steel sector to increase productivity and process. We work together to give many workers new skills and create new opportunities for those workers. But our commitment to the sectorial councils dealing with workforce-related matters doesn't stop with CEASTEC. We participated in the Mining Industry HR Council in the past. We participated in similar organizations in the forestry and electrical production manufacturing sectors. So to me, these types of sectorial-based organizations and their achievements is a great example of what we can do together with the new alliance as unions and workers and employers work together with government to make sure we are creating a better future for all. We know CEASTEC very well and very happy that CEASTEC is a partner of the Workforce Alliance, and I'm very much looking forward, as I mentioned earlier, with working with NGen and EMC. And the time is right. If you think of all what's going on, the challenges being faced, the world's changing, what Canada's up against, the time is right for this Workforce Alliance initiative. Just super excited about it. And this is a great, with this great uncertainty in manufacturing right now, some of the concern because of the threat of the trade issues, the implemented tariffs coming from the south border, and some of the concerns from technical change, and not only improves productivity and quality, but also disrupts workforces, as Ken mentioned. How do we manage that as we move forward? For example, our union is dealing with, as Ken mentioned, with large layoffs at Algoma Steel. This is through technology, from going from electric arc to, going to electric arc from an integrated steel mill. So many challenges, but it does set the stage for, making steel in the Sioux for generations to come by switching the technology. And we've, workers are being laid off and they need to be retrained and they can fill the skilled jobs Canada needs in other workplaces. So we're having some great luck on getting that done and starting apprenticeships and welding and mechanical trades and so much more, offering people that were so scared, what's next for them, that kind of security blanket that I'm going to, have the opportunity to be retrained and enter back into the workforce. It's such a great gift, especially for some workers that may be, in their mid-40s, 50s, that what's next for me? We got a spot for you. We got a spot for you in this future economy. As a union that represents hundreds of thousands of manufacturing workers in Canada and North America, I can assure you that, that at a time when trade agreements are not honored, and when there's significant uncertainty about future levels of production and jobs, many of our members are worried about their future, as I just stated, and it's so important what we're doing here today. So I'm hopeful that together, all of us in this room and more, together in the Workforce Alliance will be able to help make that future a little more secure, a little more promising by ensuring workers are getting the training they need for the future. So thank you. And I want to introduce the next speaker, Sarah Watts, the CEO of Polytechnics. Come on up, Sarah.
Good morning. Glad to be here. I'm Sarah Watts-Rynard. I'm the CEO at Polytechnics Canada, a network of the 13 largest polytechnics and institutes of technology across the country. The polytechnics offer advanced technical and technological education in virtually every sector of the economy, including in advanced manufacturing. So last year alone, the polytechnics together trained 482,000 students and graduated 161,000 entry-level workers ready to work in industry and in close collaboration with their industry partners. The Polytechnics also trained 44,000 skilled trades workers last year, offering their technical training in close collaboration with the employers that offer the other important part of apprenticeship training. And I think importantly, about 150,000 registrations in continuing education and professional development programs as well. So certificates, diplomas, bachelor's degrees, and applied master's degrees increasingly really in Canada's highest demand occupations. As workforce demand continues to evolve and grow, the Polytechnics know that it's important to keep listening to what it is that industry are saying are the new and evolving skills that they need. So it's important, I think, to have this action-oriented workforce development plan in close collaboration with industry, with unions, with the education sector, and with government, coming together to think about what skills are required for an evolving workforce and responding to that. I'm really pleased to have been invited to sit on the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Alliance's Strategic Council. I am really looking forward to working with all of these stakeholders, I think in a really important way to understand the skills needed today, the skills needed into the future. And I'm looking forward to getting to work. So with that, I'll introduce Jim Jarrell, President and CEO of Linamar Corporation.
Well, good morning, everybody. And yes, I'm the last batter up here today. So again, but there will be probably a few things that I say will be the same. But in manufacturing, a lot of times we say repetition is the mother of skill. And very important. But again, thank you, Minister, thank you, Dominique, for being here, and everybody joining us here today. And welcome to Linamar, the Frank Hasenfratz Center of Manufacturing Excellence, where we bring innovation and manufacturing together to make products for the world. It's great to be here today because today is a really special day. August 17th is our 60th birthday, and Frank Hasenfratz started Linamar in the basement of his home with one machine, basically a tremendous work ethic and a belief if you can make things better, customers would notice. He even created a name, Linamar, which stands for the three lovely ladies in his life, Linda, Nancy, and Margaret. Obviously, Frank's name never made the cut, but he used to joke to all of us, but he never gets to keep any of the money anyway. So Frank was a machinist at heart. He loved to build things, solve problems, and create opportunities. And I think he'd be especially pleased today that we're talking about advanced manufacturing and the future of manufacturing and the people who will build it. To put 60 years in perspective, Linamar was founded and the Canadian flag had just adopted the maple leaf. Yes, our beloved maple leaf, Toronto Maple Leafs, were still winning Stanley Cups, and none of us were carrying around those technical computers in our pockets. And perhaps one of the most remarkable things that I like to talk about is only 1 out of 5 companies ever makes it 20 years. And today, Linamar is celebrating our 60th. Great companies are built by great people. In manufacturing, as it becomes more advanced, more digital, and more automated, the need for skilled people only grows. We need more machinists, tool makers, electricians, millwrights, engineers, programmers, technologists. Most importantly, we need young people to choose building, creating, and making things. That's why today's announcement is so important. Minister, thank you for your leadership in championing the Advanced Manufacturing Workforce Alliance. Investing in technology is absolutely important, but investing in people is even more important. Frank understood that 60 years ago. He built a company by believing that talented people are only the ability to start creating opportunities and build to succeed. Today, we're doing the same thing on a national scale. If we can inspire the next generation to pursue skilled trades, engineering, and advanced manufacturing careers, Canada's future will be absolutely bright. We're proud to be part of that effort. We're proud to host today, and we're proud to help build the next generations of Canadian manufacturing skills. So thank you for being here, and here's to building the next 60 years together. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks so much, Jim, for those remarks, and again for hosting us today. It really is an extraordinary space. And thank you to everyone who joined us for this event, in particular Minister Hajdu, Jayson, Jean-Pierre, Ken, Joe, and Sarah, for highlighting the importance of investing in Canadian workers and strengthening the advanced manufacturing sector. Merci, Jim, pour votre accueil aujourd'hui, à la ministre Hajdu, aux présentateurs pour avoir souligné l'importance d'investir dans nos travailleurs canadiens et le secteur de fabrication de pointe. Ensemble, continuons à bâtir une économie forte, résiliente et tournée vers l'avenir en misant sur nos talents, nos industries et une collaboration soutenue. As we move forward, let's stay focused on what matters most, investing in our people, strengthening our industries, and working together to build an economy that is resilient, adaptable, and ready for the future. Because while we may not control every challenge ahead, we do control how we respond. And by acting with purpose and confidence today, we're building a stronger Canada and a stronger Ontario for generations to come. I will now hand it over to Jen, who will coordinate questions from the media. Alors, Jen, à vous de coordonner pour les médias.
So much. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So with the conclusion of the announcement, we would just open it up to media who's in attendance. If you can just state your name, your outlet, and that would be great.
You can come up.
Yeah. Bring all the brains up, please.
Oh, should we step
Thank you. I'm Adam from Guelph Politico. I don't think anyone in the world or in this room or in the city would disagree that we need more young people in advanced manufacturing, more skills building, more skilled trade workers. I want to talk about the first part of it, though. I talk to people in Guelph every day who are just looking for a job, any job. They need to stabilize. They need to be able to pay their rent at the end of the month. They need to go to the grocery store. They may want to think about a career in skilled trades or advanced manufacturing, but they need stability first. How do you get that first part of it to get people stabilized so they can maybe think about some of the things these gentlemen want from a worker?
Well, that's a really general question, because the reason why someone's unemployed is as varied as there are people. And so I can't give you a specific question to a general, specific answer to a general question, but I can tell you that at the federal level, we do a number of things. First of all, we support provincial governments and territories through major labor market transfers. And those labor market transfers go to all kinds of different organizations that work with people who are out of work. So it could be youth, it could be people who have just lost their job, it could be something as simple as updating resumes, learning the online way of applying for a job, which, by the way, I don't think I could do. So if you lose your job and you've had a job for a long time, there's even new ways of applying for jobs. So there's integration with the labor market through the supports we provide to provinces and territories. We also fund a specific set of youth employment programs. In fact, Palette Skills are here today, and they work with a variety of different young people that are looking for opportunities for experienced paid work. We have a lot of work integrated learning opportunities that work with Polytechnics, colleges, universities, so that students that are studying get actually paid work experience. That actually helps with not just skill alignment, but with relationship building. As many employers would tell you, it's a big leap of faith hiring a new person, and you tend to hire someone that you have confidence in, that you've maybe had an opportunity to test run through work integrated learning or other opportunities. We have Canada Summer Jobs, for example, that we fund. This year it was 100,000 paid experiences for youth across the country. And so there is a lot happening in that space. What I would say, though, is that what we're hearing from employers is it's the skilled work that is really integral to the success of their companies. You've just heard a number of speakers talk about the integration and the importance of the integration of what employers are looking for and what skills are being offered. And so ultimately, we want people to, of course, get that job, but what we actually find is that if it's just any job, people are also not satisfied, and they're also wanting, in many cases, to improve their opportunities. So we're trying to build out a landscape here, from supporting people that have no job or have recently lost their job. By the way, EI measures have been enhanced through the different tariff actions, and so we have enhanced EI for people who are losing their jobs, all the way to making sure people can access the skills training that they need for the kind of interest that they have, the aptitude that they have, and obviously they will be able to earn better earnings when they have designations.
I appreciate all of that. I have an even more general question. We've talked a lot this morning about disruptions and stuff south of the border. Let's give it a name. Donald John Trump, master of creating new international crises. In fact, he's created a new one this morning. So I just want to, since I don't get to talk to cabinet members terribly often, I want to just get your point of view from inside the House, as it were. What are the expectations that there's going to be some kind of deal this week? Just from my point of view, Donald Trump loves the drama. He doesn't much know what he wants. So what are your expectations from you and your colleagues about getting something finished this week?
Well, I think you've heard the Prime Minister speak a lot about needing to take the circumstances that we find ourselves in as they are. And I think that is, reflect on today's announcement, but all of the work that the federal government is doing. Many of our speakers talked about the importance of new markets, for example. We're working very quickly to make sure that no matter what comes from this round of negotiations, future rounds of negotiations, different administrations, changes in government at the United States level, changes in our government, for Pete's sake. I mean, these are things that happen. The world continues to evolve, countries continue to change, but one thing remains sure, and that's that Canada has a lot to offer the world. And so the Prime Minister has been very focused, along with Cabinet, on doing a few things. One, strengthening our capacity to develop our own economy and to sell to new markets. Strengthening the capacity of really strong companies, for example, in advanced manufacturing like Linamar and many others, in other sectors, to be able to weather these storms. You talk about Algoma Steel. I've been in Algoma Steel a number of times, and it's absolutely true what Ken says. I mean, and what Marty says. There's a risk and an opportunity in pivoting to new ways to produce things. But the beauty of Algoma Steel is, as they transition to cleaner ways of making steel, they're opening up to markets that want to purchase new steel made by cleaner methods that actually help them reduce their carbon emission footprints. And so this is really an opportunity, if you think about it, in resiliency. And Canadians are stepping up. I said this in my opening remarks. Canadians understand the mission at hand. Yes, there are a lot of scared Canadians. Yes, there are people. Algoma Steel is a great example where disruption, and I live in Northern Ontario. Listen, I'm no stranger to forestry industry attacks, to pulp and paper mills going down, to industry really, having a hard time and therefore sort of really stretching the fabric of communities. But in this case, Canada and Canadians feel very determined to stand up, and the Prime Minister knows that and is working with colleagues to make sure that no matter what comes our way, we are going to have the skills, the ability, and the strength of our relationships across the world to make sure that Canada can remain strong and free.
I don't see anyone behind me. Can I get one more? And anyone can take this one. I'll give the Minister a break. We come back here 1 year from today. What do we hope this alliance has done? What are the short-term goals? Please.
Well, maybe we can each identify one thing that we'd be doing a year from now. I think one of the most important things is to take a look at the programs out there that work and where the gaps are here. I think if we can do a scoping exercise that identifies those productive programs, the ones that deliver results, what we've been talking about, and look at where the gaps are, but also what we can improve and leverage. One of the biggest challenges, I think, in Canada is that we're not aware of all of the great things that are going on, and how can we work together to leverage those capabilities. So I think that's a foundational piece of work that we all have to do.
Two quick ones. One related to we're going to create these action groups to focus on individual items. One of them is going to be focused on adopting new technology, and one of the things that we're going to start talking about is what the impact of some of these new technologies, including AI, is going to have both on productivity and on the workforce. So at least a year from now, we'll have a plan on how to. We may not have all the answers a year from now, but we will have begun, and we will have the framework in place for us to understand that. The second thing, a year from now, I hope that we will have completed a demonstration project where we're going to identify moving laid-off production workers into high-skilled jobs in defense-adjacent manufacturing or defense-related manufacturing. There's some special skill sets there. A year from now, I hope to be able to say, we experimented, and these are the results. JP.
Yeah. I think one thing that short term, you talk about 1 year, and you take Guelph here, better alignment in the labor market. What that means is the supply, like the workers that are available or the unemployed, and as well as who's hiring, like better connection regionally. And it's true across Canada. It's a very, very dynamic market. We talk about skills are changing, and we're seeing a shift as well. Like, and back to your question earlier, there's a number of programs that exist. I think to be in the moment in this time, this where we are is absolutely critical. So we're going to be looking and working with regional partner and national and provincial partner to do that better alignment between the demand and the supply.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, that concludes. Oh, you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Are you registered media or?
No, I'm not registered media. Do I have to be registered media?
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's okay. No problem. But with that concludes our announcement, and we'll just do a quick photo, and then we can mingle after and take other questions.